Question 1. An officer is preparing a report detailing a suspect's resistance during an arrest. Which of the following terms most accurately describes a suspect's act of attempting to pull away from an officer's grasp, specifically designed to frustrate the officer's control? A. Contumacy. B. Disobedience. C. Noncompliance. D. Evasion. Answer: C. Noncompliance. Noncompliance precisely describes a failure or refusal to yield to a command or request, such as actively resisting an officer's lawful attempt to gain control during an arrest. While evasion might involve fleeing, and disobedience is a general refusal, noncompliance specifically addresses a direct failure to adhere to an officer's efforts to establish control in a physical interaction. This term is frequently used in law enforcement reports to accurately categorize a suspect's resistance without implying specific criminal charges, focusing instead on their conduct. When describing a suspect's actions, always choose the most precise word to ensure clarity and accuracy in your report. Question 2. Read the following passage and determine the most appropriate heading. The incident occurred on Main Street at approximately 10:30 p.m. Responding officers secured the scene and conducted initial interviews with witnesses. A perimeter was established to contain potential evidence and prevent public interference. Evidence markers were deployed, and photographs were taken prior to the arrival of forensics personnel. Civilian traffic was rerouted to ensure officer safety and preserve the integrity of the investigation. A. Establishing patrol routes. B. Preliminary scene management. C. Public relations during an incident. D. Investigating witness accounts. Answer: B. Preliminary scene management. The passage details the initial steps taken by officers upon arriving at an incident location, focusing on securing the area, controlling access, and preserving evidence before specialized units arrive. These actions, such as securing the scene, establishing a perimeter, and rerouting traffic, fall under the umbrella of preliminary scene management. Choosing the best heading requires identifying the main topic or purpose of the entire passage, not just one detail. When evaluating reading comprehension passages, look for the overarching theme rather than getting sidetracked by individual actions mentioned. Question 3. During an investigation, an officer discovers a significant discrepancy between two witness statements regarding the suspect's appearance. One witness described the suspect as having dark hair and a beard, while the other stated the suspect was clean-shaven with light hair. This situation most strongly suggests the need for A. Issuing a bolo, be on the lookout, for both descriptions. B. Prioritizing the statement of the first witness interviewed. C. Further corroboration or re-interviewing to resolve the conflicting details. D. Disregarding both statements as unreliable due to the contradiction. Answer: C. Further corroboration or re-interviewing to resolve the conflicting details. Significant discrepancies between witness accounts, especially concerning crucial details like a suspect's appearance, indicate that the information is unreliable on its own and requires additional investigation to determine accuracy. Instead of accepting one over the other or dismissing both, the proper course of action is to seek more information, perhaps by re-interviewing witnesses, looking for physical evidence, or finding additional witnesses to corroborate details. In police work, conflicting information is a signal to dig deeper, not to dismiss or arbitrarily choose one account. Question 4. An officer is reviewing a policy document that states, officers shall exercise judicious discretion when applying force, ensuring it is objectively reasonable and proportionate to the threat presented. The term, judicious discretion, in this context primarily refers to A. The officer's personal judgment based on individual beliefs. B. A decision made quickly under pressure, without much thought. C. Careful and sensible decision-making based on training and circumstances. D. The authority to act arbitrarily within legal boundaries. Answer: C. careful and sensible decision-making based on training and circumstances. Judicious discretion implies making thoughtful, well-reasoned decisions that are aligned with established principles, training, and the specific circumstances of an incident. It means acting with sound judgment and prudence, not impulsively or arbitrarily. In law enforcement, exercising discretion responsibly is critical, as it involves making critical decisions that directly impact public safety and individual rights. Always remember that discretion in policing is not about personal preference, but about applying professional judgment within legal and policy guidelines. Question 5. Which of the following sentences correctly uses parallel structure? A. The officer was responsible for securing the perimeter, interviewing witnesses, and to collect evidence. B. The officer was responsible for securing the perimeter, for interviewing witnesses, and for collecting evidence. C. The officer was responsible for securing the perimeter, interviewing witnesses, and the collection of evidence. D. The officer was responsible for securing the perimeter, interviewing witnesses, and collected evidence. Answer. B. The officer was responsible for securing the perimeter, for interviewing witnesses, and for collecting evidence. Parallel structure requires that elements in a list or series maintain the same grammatical form to create balance and clarity. In this sentence, all three items describe responsibilities, and using for before each gerund phrase, for securing, for interviewing, for collecting, ensures grammatical consistency. Maintaining parallel structure makes sentences easier to read and understand, which is crucial for clear and effective communication in official reports and testimony. Always check that similar ideas are presented in a similar grammatical way. Question 6. An officer responds to a call involving a highly agitated individual who is speaking incoherently and exhibiting erratic movements, posing no immediate physical threat but clearly in distress. Which of the following responses would be most appropriate initially, prior to any attempt at physical intervention? A. Immediately call for backup and prepare for physical restraint. B. Engage in calm, de-escalation communication from a safe distance. C. Demand compliance loudly to establish authority. D. Retreat from the scene and wait for a mental health professional. Answer. B. Engage in calm, de-escalation communication from a safe distance. When confronted with an agitated individual who is not presenting an immediate physical threat, the most appropriate initial response is to attempt verbal de-escalation from a safe distance. This approach prioritizes gaining voluntary compliance and reducing tension through calm communication, which can often resolve the situation without the need for physical intervention. Prioritizing de-escalation is a cornerstone of modern policing, aiming to resolve situations peacefully and minimize the use of force. Remember that communication is often your most effective tool in volatile situations. Question 7. Read the following policy excerpt. Officers encountering individuals exhibiting signs of severe mental distress and who pose an immediate danger to themselves or others shall initiate a detention pursuant to Welfare and Institutions Code Section 5150. Such detention is for the purpose of a mental health evaluation and is not an arrest. Which of the following statements can be logically inferred from this excerpt? A. All individuals exhibiting signs of mental distress can be detained under Section 5150. B. A Section 5150 detention automatically leads to a criminal charge. C. The primary purpose of a Section 5150 detention is to facilitate a mental health assessment. D. Officers must have a warrant to detain someone under Section 5150. Answer. C. The primary purpose of a Section 5150 detention is to facilitate a mental health assessment. The passage explicitly states that a Section 5150 detention is, for the purpose of a mental health evaluation, and, is not an arrest, directly indicating its primary goal. The key to logical inference is to stick strictly to what the text provides, avoiding assumptions or outside knowledge. Carefully reading the exact wording helps you identify direct statements and avoid misinterpretations. Question 8. An officer is completing a detailed report on a traffic collision. Which of the following words is the most precise synonym for impact when describing the moment of contact between two vehicles? A. Collision. B. Concussion. C. Ramification. D. Implication. Answer: A. Collision. While impact refers to the force of a striking, collision specifically denotes the event where two or more moving bodies strike each other, making it the most precise term for the moment vehicles meet in a traffic accident. Concussion refers to a jarring injury, ramification means a consequence, and implication is a suggestion, none of which accurately describe the physical event. Choosing the most precise vocabulary word helps ensure your reports are clear, accurate, and easily understood by others in the law enforcement and legal communities. Question 9. An officer observes a vehicle driving erratically, swerving within its lane, and repeatedly braking unnecessarily. These observations are considered: A. Conclusive evidence of driving under the influence. B. Probable cause for a vehicle stop. C. Reasonable suspicion to initiate a traffic stop. D. Sufficient grounds for immediate arrest. Answer: C. Reasonable suspicion to initiate a traffic stop. Erratic driving behavior such as swerving and unnecessary braking provide specific, articulable facts that lead a reasonable officer to suspect that criminal activity, e.g., DUI, is afoot or that a traffic violation has occurred. This level of suspicion, known as reasonable suspicion, is sufficient to legally justify a temporary detention, like a traffic stop, to investigate further. It is a lower standard than probable cause, which is required for an arrest. Understanding the different legal standards for police action, like reasonable suspicion versus probable cause, is fundamental to lawful policing. Question 10. Which sentence demonstrates the correct use of a semicolon? A. The suspect fled the scene, however, officers apprehended him quickly. B. The suspect fled the scene, officers apprehended him quickly. C. The suspect fled the scene, however officers apprehended him quickly. D. The suspect fled the scene, however, officers apprehended him quickly. Answer: A. The suspect fled the scene, however, officers apprehended him quickly. A semicolon is correctly used to join two independent clauses that are closely related in meaning, especially when the second clause begins with a conjunctive adverb like however, therefore, or consequently. In this case, however, correctly links the two complete thoughts, and a comma should follow the conjunctive adverb. Mastering punctuation rules ensures your written communications are clear, professional, and grammatically sound, which is essential for accurate police reports. Question 11. An officer is dispatched to a residence where a homeowner reports a potential burglary. Upon arrival, the officer observes a broken window and pry marks on the front door, but no sign of forced entry on the back door. The officer also notes that valuables are scattered inside, suggesting a hurried search. Based on these observations, the most logical initial conclusion is that A. The homeowner staged the burglary for insurance purposes. B. Entry was most likely gained through the broken front window or pried door. C. The suspect must have used the back door despite no visible damage. D. The incident was merely a misunderstanding and not a burglary. Answer: B. Entry was most likely gained through the broken front window or pried door. The presence of a broken window and pry marks on the front door are direct physical indicators of forced entry, making them the most logical points of ingress for a burglary suspect. While other possibilities might exist, police work often involves drawing the most reasonable conclusion based on the direct evidence available. In scenario-based questions, focus on the most direct and evidential clues provided to deduce the most logical immediate conclusion. Question 12. During a pursuit, an officer must continuously assess the risks involved, including pedestrian traffic, road conditions, and the severity of the offense. This ongoing assessment demonstrates the officer's application of A. Reciprocal liability. B. Situational awareness. C. Probabilistic reasoning. D. Collateral oversight. Answer: B. Situational awareness. Situational awareness is the ability to perceive and comprehend the elements of the environment within a volume of time and space, and to project their status in the near future. Continuously assessing risks like pedestrian traffic and road conditions during a pursuit is a prime example of maintaining high situational awareness, which is critical for officer safety and public safety. Developing strong situational awareness is a foundational skill for all law enforcement officers, allowing them to make informed decisions rapidly. Question 13. Which of the following is the most effective way to convey urgency in a radio transmission regarding a felony suspect fleeing on foot? A. Be advised, subject is departing on foot, possibly in a rapid manner. B. Subject is leaving the scene, proceed with caution. C. Code 3, felony suspect, foot pursuit, last seen eastbound on Elm. D. Individual is no longer at the initial location, please check surrounding area. Answer: C. Code 3, felony suspect, foot pursuit, last seen eastbound on Elm. This option uses concise, action-oriented language, standard police codes, Code 3, indicating emergency lights and siren, and specific directional information, all of which are crucial for conveying urgency and critical details in a rapid, clear manner over radio. Effective radio communication relies on brevity, clarity, and the use of established terminology to ensure that vital information is understood immediately. In emergency situations, every word counts, so prioritize direct and essential information. Question 14. An officer is tasked with documenting a complex crime scene. Which of the following would be the most effective method for ensuring comprehensive and accurate documentation of all physical evidence? A. Relying solely on detailed written notes made from memory after the scene is processed. B. Taking photographs of major items only, then collecting everything for lab analysis. C. Utilizing a combination of written notes, detailed sketches, and comprehensive photographs. D. Having one officer collect evidence while another orally describes findings without recording them. Answer: C. Utilizing a combination of written notes, detailed sketches, and comprehensive photographs. Comprehensive and accurate documentation of a crime scene requires multiple methods to capture different types of information and provide corroboration. Written notes detail observations, sketches provide spatial relationships, and photographs capture visual details, all of which together create a complete and defensible record. Relying on a single method or memory can lead to omissions or inaccuracies. Effective evidence documentation is crucial for investigations and courtroom proceedings, so always use all available tools to create a thorough record. Question 15. The term modicum in the context of police use of force implies: A. An excessive amount of force, beyond what is necessary. B. A minimal or small amount of force. C. A moderate and controlled application of force. D. A variable amount of force depending on the situation. Answer: B. A minimal or small amount of force. A modicum refers to a small or limited quantity of something. In the context of use of force, it would suggest applying only a very small, necessary amount, emphasizing restraint. While the legal standard for force is objectively reasonable, understanding vocabulary like modicum helps interpret broader principles of restraint and proportionality. Always strive for the most precise understanding of terms, as subtle word choices can significantly alter the meaning of a policy or statement. Question 16. A police department introduces a new policy requiring officers to complete a de-escalation tactics refresher course annually. The primary purpose of this policy update is most likely to: A. Increase the number of arrests for nonviolent offenses. B. Reduce incidents involving the use of force by officers. C. Expedite crime scene processing time frames. D. Enhance officers' physical fitness and endurance. Answer: B. Reduce incidents involving the use of force by officers. De-escalation tactics are specifically designed to resolve potentially volatile situations through verbal and non-physical means, thereby reducing the need for physical force. An annual refresher course aims to reinforce these skills, making officers more proficient at de-escalating encounters and, consequently, decreasing instances where force might otherwise be used. Training in de-escalation reflects a commitment to community safety and effective, less confrontational policing. Question 17. An officer observes a vehicle with a severely cracked windshield that obstructs the driver's view. This condition most directly impairs the driver's ability to A. Properly operate the vehicle's electrical system. B. Maintain situational awareness of the roadway. C. Accurately judge distances to other vehicles. D. Effectively use the vehicle's turn signals. Answer: B. Maintain situational awareness of the roadway. A severely cracked windshield directly impedes the driver's line of sight, making it difficult to fully perceive the road, traffic, and potential hazards. This impairment significantly reduces the driver's situational awareness, which is critical for safe operation of a vehicle. While it might indirectly affect judging distances, its primary impact is on overall visual input. Recognizing how vehicle defects impact driving ability is key for identifying potential safety hazards and traffic violations. Question 18. Which of the following is the most accurate and grammatically correct way to describe a suspect who was previously convicted of a felony? A. He was a felon. B. He was an ex-felon. C. He was a convicted felon. D. He was formerly a felon. Answer: C. He was a convicted felon. The term, convicted felon, is the most accurate and precise way to describe an individual who has been found guilty of a felony offense. Felon is generally understood, but convicted adds important specificity regarding the legal process. Ex-felon is colloquial and less formal, while formerly a felon is grammatically awkward and less precise. Using precise and formal terminology is crucial in law enforcement documentation to ensure clarity and avoid ambiguity. Question 19. An officer observes an individual walking furtively down a residential street at 3 a.m., peering into parked cars and attempting to open a car door. The individual quickly walks away when the officer's patrol vehicle approaches. These combined observations create A. Proof beyond a reasonable doubt of an attempted vehicle burglary. B. Probable cause for arrest for attempted vehicle burglary. C. Reasonable suspicion to detain the individual for questioning. D. Mere suspicion, not enough for any police action. Answer: C. Reasonable suspicion to detain the individual for questioning. The collective observations, walking furtively at a late hour, peering into cars, attempting to open a door, and then retreating upon police presence, constitute specific, articulable facts that reasonably suggest criminal activity. This level of suspicion, known as reasonable suspicion, permits an officer to temporarily detain the individual to investigate further. It is a lower standard than probable cause for arrest but higher than mere hunch or intuition. Understanding reasonable suspicion is vital for lawful police stops. Question 20. When preparing an incident report, an officer should avoid using jargon or slang whenever possible. The primary reason for this is to A. Make the report shorter and more concise. B. Impress supervisors with complex language. C. Ensure the report is easily understood by diverse audiences. D. Comply with strict internal word count limits. Answer: C. Ensure the report is easily understood by diverse audiences. Police reports are read by various individuals, including other officers, supervisors, attorneys, judges, and sometimes even jurors or members of the public who may not be familiar with law enforcement-specific terminology. Avoiding jargon and slang ensures clarity and broad comprehension, which is essential for accurate and effective communication in the criminal justice system. Clear and accessible language makes your reports more credible and useful to everyone who reads them. Question 21. An officer is presented with a situation where a minor traffic violation has occurred, but the driver is cooperative, shows remorse, and has a clean driving record. The officer decides to issue a warning rather than a citation. This decision exemplifies the exercise of A. Administrative oversight. B. Prosecutorial immunity. C. Officer discretion. D. Punitive enforcement. Answer: C. Officer discretion. Officer discretion refers to the police officer's power to make choices among alternative courses of action, such as whether to issue a warning or a citation for a minor offense. This decision is based on various factors, including departmental policy, the specifics of the incident, and the individual's demeanor. Exercising sound discretion is a fundamental part of an officer's role, allowing for fair and context-sensitive application of laws. Question 22. In a scenario testing judgment, an officer has to decide whether to pursue a vehicle that just committed a nonviolent misdemeanor. Which of the following considerations should weigh most heavily in the officer's decision? A. The officer's personal desire to apprehend the suspect. B. The potential danger to the public if a pursuit ensues. C. The ease with which the suspect might be identified later. D. The number of other patrol units available in the area. Answer: B. The potential danger to the public if a pursuit ensues. Officer safety and, more importantly, public safety are paramount considerations in any police action, especially vehicle pursuits. The potential danger of a pursuit, which can involve high speeds and risk to innocent bystanders, must always be weighed against the severity of the offense. For a nonviolent misdemeanor, the risk to public safety typically outweighs the immediate need for apprehension via pursuit. Always prioritize safety in high-risk scenarios. Question 23. An officer is documenting a suspect's voluntary statement. Which of the following should be included to ensure the statement's integrity and admissibility? A. Only the portions of the statement that incriminate the suspect. B. The full, unedited statement, noting the time and manner it was obtained. C. A summarized version of the statement, rephrased for clarity. D. The statement as recalled by the officer, without direct quotation. Answer: B. The full, unedited statement, noting the time and manner it was obtained. For a suspect's voluntary statement to be credible and admissible in court, it must be documented accurately and completely, capturing the exact words as much as possible, along with critical context like when and how it was taken. Editing or summarizing can lead to accusations of bias or misrepresentation. Comprehensive and factual documentation of statements is crucial for legal proceedings. Question 24. Which sentence contains a common grammatical error related to subject-verb agreement? A. The officers at the scene was coordinating the investigation. B. The evidence collected at the scene was meticulously documented. C. Several witnesses provided consistent accounts of the incident. D. The suspect's actions were clearly visible on the security footage. Answer: A. The officers at the scene was coordinating the investigation. The error in this sentence is subject-verb agreement. The subject, officers, is plural, so the verb should also be plural, were, not singular, was. The correct sentence would be, the officers at the scene were coordinating the investigation. Always ensure that your verb matches the number of your subject, especially in formal writing like police reports, for grammatical correctness. Question 25. An officer arrives at a domestic disturbance where one party is visibly distressed but unwilling to speak. The other party is calm and claims everything is fine. The officer should primarily A. Accept the calm party's statement and leave the scene. B. Separate the parties and attempt to speak with both individually. C. Advise the distressed party that no action can be taken without their cooperation. D. Immediately arrest the calm party based on the visible distress of the other. Answer: B. Separate the parties and attempt to speak with both individually. In domestic disturbance calls, it is crucial to separate involved parties to ensure safety and allow each individual to speak freely without coercion or intimidation from the other. A visibly distressed individual, even if unwilling to speak initially, might feel more comfortable providing information once separated. Always prioritize safety and thorough investigation by gathering information from all parties involved, independently if necessary.